And I'm live, all by myself. All by myself. Actually, I was just listening to Trouble by Pink, one of my favorite songs. I could listen to that on repeat for an hour or two. What's going on? Happy Veterans Day. Like I just said, I was listening to Trouble by Pink and decided to put the video on. I didn't realize Jeremy Renner was in that video. I love Jeremy Renner. He's great. So yeah, happy Veterans Day. I wanted to knock this out. I got shit to do. I gotta get cooking. It's fairly early. Why does it sound like there's a fucking echo? I hope that's not the case on the rest of the show. Oh, I know the problem. There we go. There we go. I had my microphone set up incorrectly, so that it was recording like both sides of the mic. So when I talked, my voice would bounce off the wall and come back at the other side of the mic. I'm glad I figured that out nice and early on in the show. I'm glad I didn't just record the episode that way. That would have sucked to listen to. So yes, today is Veterans Day, and it's been a fairly busy one for me. I think that I came to a realization earlier that having a day off isn't necessarily my ideal day. Like, as much as a day off is nice, like a day off from work is nice to like sleep in, no alarm clock, chill out, like it's really not my ideal day, because my ideal day, like I like to wake up in the morning. I shouldn't say it that, I don't know, because I fucking hate to wake up. Like I do hate it when the alarm clock goes off. I hate it when the alarm clock goes off. I hate that feeling of being tired. I hate that feeling of like, I don't want to fucking go to the gym right now, but then I do anyways. And, but I don't know. There's something about like that, schedule of just like doing the same thing every day. When a day like today comes, and I get another one in a couple weeks when we have Thanksgiving, and Thanksgiving will be different because my mate will be home, so that's way different. She'll be home, and I'll watch a trilogy. She's gonna cook a bunch of fucking food. We've already been talking about Thanksgiving and Christmas, like what we're gonna do for meals, and hopefully, with any luck, this Christmas will be so much different than last Christmas. Because last Christmas, I mean, I remember getting towards the end of the day, like 7 o'clock or so, and being like, and I had been drinking all day. I smoked a cigar. I think that I had been using my nicotine pouches all day long. So I had like an overdose of alcohol and nicotine. And at like 7 o'clock, I was like, I'm going to go record a podcast real quick. And I came up here and started recording, and like 10, maybe 20 minutes in, I was just like falling asleep behind the microphone. And I was like, I shut the show down. I was like, I gotta go now. And then I just shut the show off. I went into our bedroom, and I had barely enough energy left in me to send her a text message being like, I don't know what's wrong, but I'm going to fall asleep for a little bit. And I felt fucking terrible because she cooked an amazing fucking meal. And I woke up maybe 2.5 hours later, and I go downstairs, and I mean, she's ate. She's put everything away in Tupperware and whatever. And I mean, by now I feel better. But yeah, it was not the Christmas that I think either one of us expected. So I expect this one will be much, much different and much, much better. But anyways, so my ideal, like maybe not my ideal day, but like maybe that schedule, like that constant of waking up in the morning. I go to the gym. I do whatever workout I'm going to do. I take my shower. I go to work. I work hard all day long. And then I come home. And, if she's not home, then maybe I come home and take a nap for a little bit. I like taking a nap, all right? I don't care. Call me fucking old if you want to. But I do enjoy taking a nap. And, come home, take like a nap so that I have the energy to go the rest of the night. Because I don't like coming home and 9 or 10 o'clock at night feeling like I can't do this for another 10 minutes. I gotta go to bed. I'm falling asleep where I'm standing. And to come, if I come home at, 4, 5, 6 o'clock at night and can sleep for 10 or 20 minutes, then I feel like I've given myself that boost, that tiny little bit of recharge to get through the rest of the night. I can stay up until midnight or 1 in the morning. I know it's not especially healthy to get 4 or 5 hours of sleep a night, and then break up your sleep by getting 4 or 5 hours of sleep at night, and then an hour in the afternoon or something like that. But it works for me, so there's that. But anyways, it was a pretty good Veterans Day so far. I slept in for sure. My mate even slept in with me, which was nice. I wasn't really expecting that. Never upsets me at all one bit, especially when we both sleep good. Like, I tend to toss and turn a lot and snore a lot while we sleep. So like last night, I don't think that either one of us did a lot of tossing and turning, and she doesn't in the first place, but I do. I don't think that I did, and even if I did, it wasn't enough to really disturb her sleep, which is nice. That's what I care about the most. I definitely don't want to fuck up her sleep. So I don't think I woke up until like 9:30, and she got up about the same time. She gets up and gets ready for work. And I knew that I had certain things I wanted to do today, certain things that I maybe kind of had to do. I had a couple chores that I wanted to get knocked out today. And then I also had things that I personally wanted to do. And as per fucking usual, there just aren't enough hours in the day. There's some things that I didn't get to. Maybe I'll get more into that next. But I do want to touch on Veterans Day. And, thank you to everyone who, whether they sent text messages or Facebook messages or comments on Facebook posts or whatever. Thank you to everyone that appreciates and recognizes our military service. I think I've talked about it before, but I'm going to talk about it again. I never really saw it as a big deal. I even remember, when I first enlisted, I had actually bought a snowmobile. Maybe about 8 months before I enlisted in the military. So I enlisted in the military when I was 19 years old. I kind of did it on like, I'll show you type of thing to my parents, because my mom was arguing with me one day, and she was like, well, you said that you were going to get out of high school and you were going to join the military, and then you never did. And this was like, this was probably about a year and a half after I got out of high school. And it was only a couple days later. I mean, it might it's the sequence of events kind of gets a little lost in translation over the course of the last 20 years. But I think that what happened was she has this argument with me, or not argument. We're not even yelling back and forth, but we are talking back and forth in an aggressive tone. That's the best way to put it. And we're talking back and forth, and she says this to me, you said that you were going to get out of high school and you were going to join the military, and then you never did. And I was working Circuit City at the time, and I thought that I was making, for 18, 19 years old, I was making like $8.50, $9 an hour. So I thought that I was making pretty good money in 2002. And but I was also a volunteer Fremont Fire Rescue member. And so I'm at this, it's only a couple days later, I'm at this Fremont, I'm at the rescue meeting, our monthly meeting, and I'm standing there, and I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, because I've never done any sort of military anything, but I'm standing there in kind of a parade rest form, and I thought to myself, this feels good, like, this feels, like, however I'm standing right now, it feels right, and it feels like I should do it more, so it was maybe a day or two later. My brother-in-law was in the National Guard, in the Army National Guard, and I called him and I was like, "Hey, I think I want to join the military. I think I want to join the Army National Guard." And he and I had talked a little bit back and forth about what the National Guard was. So he hooked me up with a recruiter, and the recruiter calls me maybe a day or two later, and I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. Like, it was kind of that thing where you're like, if I don't do it now, I'm never going to do it. So yes, let's fucking do it. And I was surprised And I remember talking to my mom a couple days later. I was surprised at how fast everything moves, because this recruiter calls me and he has me in for a meeting like that day. And then he has me taking tests that day. And we're going to Boston like a couple days later to go to the Military Entrance Processing Center to do a few more tests, like your was it called AFAB or whatever, ASVAB test, which is a military test to place you. Which today's kids that join the military, they have it fucking easy. All right, I don't know what basic training is like now, and nor do I care. I don't care how basic training has evolved and changed over the years, whether it's easy or the same or harder. It doesn't really matter to me. But there's a book you can buy now that can prepare you for the ASVAB test so that you can get placed wherever the fuck you want, pretty much. Like to join the SEALs. You have to score a certain number on your ASVAB. Because it's not like you scored 100, you scored a 100 on your ASVAB. No, it's not like that. I don't know what the numbers are, but yeah, it is similar in the fact that if you score lower, then you're placed lower, and if you score higher, then you're placed higher. But it's not like a pass fail type thing where it's like, oh, you got 100%, you got everything correct. Like, it's not like that. But you can buy a book that will prepare you for the ASVAB so that you can take the test. So, I mean, you could start studying for the fucking ASVAB these days at like in junior high school if you really wanted to, if that's the path that you knew you would take. But anyways, so it's a couple days later. I go take my ASVAB. I had to stay overnight, and I actually slept in the room with this kid who was. So I'm enlisting in the military. This kid that I shared a room with that night, he was on his way to Marine Corps boot camp, and he was like, "Oh man, I can't sleep. I'm gonna do some push-ups," which never made any fucking sense to me, because if you're gonna get down and do push-ups to help yourself fall asleep, you're speeding up your heart rate, which is not gonna help you fall asleep, in my opinion. But whatever, maybe he didn't know what the fuck he was doing. If anything, push-ups should help you stay awake. But either way, I mean, I never caught his name. I never fucking learned a goddamn thing about him. Actually, because he said that in the dark, I couldn't even tell you what the fuck he looked like. But I think that later that night he was like, yeah, I just ended up getting up and, meeting up with some other guys that are going to boot camp with me. I actually wish that I wish Facebook had been a thing in 2003 when I went to basic training, because I don't have any friends that I went to basic training with. I went to basic training with 120 people. I don't know a fucking single one of them, plus 12 drill instructors. There was 2 platoons, so 60 people per platoon, and then 6 drill instructors per platoon. So yeah, 12 drill instructors. I remember 2 names. The guy that slept next to me in basic training, his name was Gabriel Tatum, and we kept in contact here and there a little bit over the course of the next 5 or 6 years. But I've looked him up and I can't fucking find him on Facebook anyways. And then one of my drill instructors was this guy, Jimmy Smith. And Jimmy Smith, it was obviously Drill Sergeant Smith when I was there, but I know his first name is Jimmy. I remember standing in line, like standing outside one day, and I saw him walking up and down one of the lines, and he was like a ways down. And he was the coolest fucking guy. And he reminded me because he looked just like Will Smith. Like, if you were to pick an actor to play my drill instructor, my drill sergeant, in my life movie, you would have to pick Will Smith. He looked just like him, to a T almost, except that I think that Jimmy Smith was a little taller than Will Smith. But man, he was cool as shit, and I just idolized him. He was so cool. He was the coolest fucking guy. But anyways, moving on, or getting back to it. I remember saying to my mom, like, man, I can't believe how fast it's going. And this is days after my mother has said to me, you said you were going to join the military. This is days later. I said, wow, this is moving so much faster than I thought it would. And she was like, well, you don't actually have to join. You could like, wait another little while before she was like, she was significantly more afraid of me joining the military than I was. So yeah, that was me joining the military, and basic training was a lot of fun. Like I was saying, oh yeah, this other guy, there was one other guy in basic training that I met, and his last name was Gilchrist. His last name was Gilchrist, and he also shared a bunk just across from me, and he was a New Hampshire guy. He was up further north than where I am right now, but he was another New Hampshire guy, and but he was going active duty, not National Guard. So he and I never kept in contact after he left, after we parted ways at basic training. So either way, those are like the only three names that I remember from basic training. Everyone else is just a fucking blur. I mean, I have memories of some moments and some people from basic training, but I can't remember their names to save my fucking life. But anyways, it was a cool, basic training was fun. And then getting home, I was only home for about 6 months or so before we got deployed for our first deployment. And that was a year long, and that was a lot of fun. That first deployment in 2004. My first deployment to Iraq was just shy of a year after we first invaded Iraq, and that first deployment was so much fun. You anytime that someone's like, wow, what was that like? They're expecting me to be like, it was hell. It was awful. I hated it. No, I fucking loved it. It was, looking back on it, especially looking back on it, it was probably the most fun. The desert and the heat and the talking to the same people every day, the same, I shared essentially a house. It was more like a trailer, I guess. I shared a trailer with the same 30 guys, and we made the place our own type of thing. And you get your team that you're with, and hearing gunshots all over the place, and working on the radios, and working entry control points, and doing area patrols. Coming in contact with some rockets and landmines, and just all of it was fucking fun. The adrenaline of it, it was cool. However, and a lot of this early part of the show is going to be a little heavy talking about this stuff, but hopefully I can save that with some more fun stuff. But I was thinking earlier this week that sometimes I do have a little bit of like something like survivor's guilt. I don't know if it's actually I don't really know how to describe it, because no one that I was with at the time in 2004 died. No one got killed by an enemy type of thing. But I do think that sometimes I wrestle with some survivor's guilt of some sort. I look back on the landmine that I went over and think, I shouldn't be here. I shouldn't be here talking to you right now. I shouldn't be, that there's all sorts of things that could have gone wrong, and for some reason everything went right, and I don't know why that is. And sometimes you have a worry of like, am I living up to it? Am I using my second chance at life correctly? And I hope I am now. I know that I wasn't for a long time. I don't think I was anyways for a long time, but sometimes you have to go through the shit to get to the good part. In fact, I think that most times you have to go through the shit to get to the good part. You have to you have to struggle. You have to you look at like take working out. Okay. I know that I talk about working out sometimes too much, but I don't care. I'm going to use it as an example right now. If you start working out one day, if you're like, I'm going to go to the gym one day and I'm going to get on the treadmill and I'm going to run as fast and as hard as I can for as long as I can. And you can do 3 miles in 1 hour, right? And that's not even, that's barely above a walk, doing 3 miles in 1 hour. That's just a little bit above a walk. and you say, well, the next time I'm going to do, I'm going to add, a quarter mile next time. And you just keep chipping away at it to the point that you're like, wow, today I did 7 miles in 1 hour. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. I don't really remember where I was going with that. I know that I started off with, am I using my time correctly? Am I using my second chance at life correctly? And survivor's guilt. I know that I was talking about that. Fuck. Ugh, I hate that shit. Anyways, yeah, that's my feeling sometimes. Is like, I shouldn't be here. I should, am I doing everything right? That's kind of my form, if you will, of PTSD. And a few other things, a handful of other things. But, when it comes to the survivor's guilt part, like, and I think about my friends, like, my friend Mike Richard, my friend Frankie Pica, the guys that came home and continue to battle inside their own head and lost. And my own battles that I've gone through in my own head. And somehow I came out. And even that can be looked at as like, now we're on fucking the millionth chance at life. Of just keep going. That part sucks. Going through that's what I was getting at with the whole working out thing was you have to go through shit. You have to go through the bad part, the early part. You have to chip away at all that early stuff to get to the good part. Like right now, when I started working out again, I was doing, I was probably doing, if I wanted to do an hour, let's say, if I wanted to run or use the treadmill or something for an hour, I might have been able to cover 3, maybe 4 miles in 1 hour. Now I can do 6 or 7 miles if I want to. I might even be able to do 8. I'm not really sure. I haven't really pushed that limit yet. But if I know that I could do 6 or 7. So you have to, lost it again. You have to, you just have to chip away at stuff slowly. You have to go through the bad part to get to the good part. For what, the 4th time in the last 2 or 3 minutes? Moving on. All right, that's my survivor's guilt. I don't want to fucking harp on it too much. It also got me thinking about life after death. I know. We're gonna get a little heavy, but then we'll fucking fix it. Life after death. I always thought this is not related to being a veteran at all. We are moving on out of being a veteran. Thank you again to everyone who said Happy Veterans Day. I did. I went to Texas Roadhouse today and got my free meal voucher. I'll probably use that in the next week or so. And what else did I do today? I went and did some grocery shopping. I went and got an oil change. This shit was fucking cool. I walk out of the house, so I've needed an oil change. I've been overdue for an oil change for about 200 or 300 miles now, right? And I keep saying I'm gonna go get an oil change. And then it's too late at night, or I'm too tired, or whatever. So today I walk out the door and I noticed that the tire pressure is low on one of my tires. So I was like, all right, I guess I'll go, and I get in the truck, and of course that tire pressure light is on, so it's not low like, oh my God, it's a completely flat tire, but like it's very obvious that it's missing a few pounds of pressure. So I said, okay, I'll go get an oil change, and I'll get, the tires, I'll make sure that the tires are filled up. So I go to Valvoline. That's where I go to get my oil changes, because you know what? Valvoline is fucking easy and fucking awesome. All right. I never have to leave the truck. I don't have to get out of the truck at all. It's a fairly decent price. Usually, with the veteran discount that I normally get, it's like $70, $75 for an oil change. And like I said, it's in and out. You're there for maybe 15 minutes. I don't have to drop it off at someone and wait an hour or whatever. I don't have to do any of that shit. You drive in and drive the fuck out. So I'm leaving the house today. I notice the tire pressure is low. I decide, all right, here's what I'm going to do. So I go to Texas Roadhouse. I get my free meal voucher. Then I drive across the city. It takes fucking 20 minutes to get there, but you know what? It's okay, because I get the day off, so I know that I get time. So I drive across the city. I go to Valvoline. I get my oil changed. I have them do the pressure. And what I didn't know going in there, I pull in and I get veteran plates. So I pull in and the guy obviously sees the veteran plates right away. And he goes, "Do you have the coupon for today?" And veterans normally get like a 10% anyways at Valvoline, no matter what. I go, "No." I didn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I said, "No." And he says, "Okay, no problem." And he pulls up his own little coupon thing that he has on his phone. And it was half off today. Half off. So I got an oil change for $40, which was awesome. To go from, because I'm driving there thinking like, oh man, that's fucking $70 I wasn't planning to spend today. And he does this oil change. It cost me $40. I fucking loved it. I loved it. So went and did some grocery shopping. Had to get like had to go to Eastern Mountain Sports to get a carabiner so that I could, do a little job here at the house. Talk to my mate for, half an hour or so on the phone. And, we caught up on our days. She was having kind of a rough day. So, it was nice to talk to her for a minute. Always nice to talk to her anyways. Doesn't really matter what the day is or what's going on in either one of our lives. But we caught up for a minute and then went and did my grocery shopping. Let's see here. Wayne is going to be retiring in January. Holy shit. Fucking Wayne, my friend Wayne in the comments, we deployed together both in 2004 and 2010. And in 2004, we were not in the same platoon. We were in different platoons, but we were 4 trailers down from each other. And in 2010, when we deployed together, we were actually in the same squad. He was a driver in another team, and I was a gunner in a different team. And eventually, he became a team leader. And then at one point, for like one mission, he was my team leader. And I think for another mission, I was his team leader. So we had a lot of fun. We actually shared a room in 2010, 2011 in Kuwait. We shared a room together for a year, and it was a lot of fun. I would play Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas while he played some sort of mega online. He introduced me kind of to mega multi-online games. I think like World of Warcraft is what he played. That's like what part of the most fun of deploying is sharing a room with someone and playing video games. In 2004, the people in my room, we played not Call of Duty, the Xbox One. It's a big one too. Wayne will let me know in a second, I'm sure, what the fuck it's called. It's the fucking Alien one that they've made a bunch of movies about and all that other shit. Oh, good. Jason Almy has replied to some. I played a trick here to make sure that he's paying attention to his phone. We still on for next Friday. I played a trick on Jason where I sent him a couple of memes strictly to get him to reply to my text so that I could then ask him if we are still on for next Friday. So now he has no excuse. But anyways, yeah, so I go to Valvoline, I get my oil change, talk to my mate, did some grocery shopping, came back home, did some projects around the house, and then watched episode 2 of season 4 of Manifest, because thank you fucking Netflix. I know that Netflix cares a lot about what I say when it comes to my podcast. I know that my podcast has a major influence on Netflix, and they rely on me. They rely on me to talk to them, talk about them, all that stuff. So I want to say thank you, Netflix, for bringing back Manifest, I guess, is the best way to put it. What happened was this show, Manifest, it premiered in like 2018, I think, on NBC, and the creator of the show had planned on 6 seasons, and he said multiple times that he wanted to wrap the show up in 6 seasons. He thought that he knew, he thought that he had enough time to do the show over the course of 6 32 episode seasons. I think 32. It might have even been less. It might have been 20. No. It might have been 16. 16. I'm sorry. 32 yeah. 6 16 episode seasons, right? So he would do or NBC would do like 8 episodes from September to whatever, November, December, and then another 8 episodes from like February to May. The way that they break up shows now, which I don't get, I don't understand, and I don't care for. Not a big fan of the way that they break up shows now. Run your fucking show from September to May, all right? You get the summer off, okay? You're basically school teachers. Stop with this. I don't like it. I don't care for it. Honestly, one of the worst things about the streaming service ones is the fact that they release everything all at once, right? So like even the Amazon shows are releasing 2 a week, which I guess is a little bit better. But when you had like Daredevil was on Netflix, Daredevil, all the episodes drop in one day, which is great because you can knock out the show over the course of a weekend. But then you have to wait a full year before you see episodes again. I don't really like it. I thought I would like it because, like, take a show like 24. I loved 24. Okay, take a show like 24. If all of those episodes drop at once and I get to watch the whole thing over a weekend, I mean, of course I'm going to be satisfied for that weekend, but I want to draw it out. I like the draw out. I want to fucking wait. And I don't like this whole 16 episodes where we're breaking them up, whatever. Anyways, moving on. Yeah, so that's been my Veterans Day so far. Is, going grocery shopping, coming home, watching Manifest, and now I'm doing this. So anyways, I was thinking about the afterlife earlier, and I've had a few thoughts over the course of my life. I've had many thoughts of, what happens after you die. But I thought of one the other day, which is probably not a very original thought. But it's the first time I've thought of it. So I'm what happens after you die? For the most part of my life, even when I was in Catholic school, I guess I've thought that it's possible it could just be like sleep, except minus the dreams. Like, a night where you don't have any dreams at all, and you just fall asleep, and 8 hours later or whatever, you wake up and you feel well rested, but you don't remember anything for the last 8 hours. I've always kind of thought that 8 hours just extends forever. That's what death is. It's like you fall asleep, but you just never wake up, and there's nothing there. Nothing happens to you afterwards. That's kind of, I think that's probably what I've always thought of what happens after this. I've heard the stories of people that were like, oh, I fucking was in the hospital and I fucking, lost blood pressure, had no heart rate for 5 minutes or whatever. And I felt this warmth and I fucking was in this field and there was this fucking bright light and all this other bullshit. I don't care. I know that it's not an especially romantic thing to think that that's what happens to you after you die is nothing, literally nothing. But, that's kind of been that's been my prevailing thought. I think that there's a possibility that there's a heaven of some sort. I think that would be great. That would be awesome, but prove it to me. Not tonight, please. Or not anywhere in the near future. But prove it to me. Like, prove to me that after we die, that you end up going somewhere. Where you have everything you ever wanted and you get to be reunited with the people you lost and all that other shit that we wish heaven was. I certainly think that would be cool. I just don't think that it's true. I don't think that it's factual. I think that science has managed to disprove virtually everything that religion has ever taught us, and the only 2 things that are left are where did we come from and what happens after we die. And if science can ever prove either one of those things, then religion is pretty much going to go away, as religion has continually gone away. But then again, I think that there's also a cycle where, I think we go through these cycles on Earth where we have these moments of high belief in God and afterlife and all that other shit. And they start to drop really low. And I think that we're at a really low point right now. If you notice the churches, they don't have as much attendance as they once did. They drop, belief in any sort of God or afterlife or religion drops really low, and then something happens that then brings it all right back up. So I hope no major events are coming anytime soon, but we'll see. As far as I'm concerned, I have no plans on going anywhere. But also, like, I remember in junior, middle school, probably more like middle school, I learned about reincarnation in middle school and what that means, what that is. And I thought it'd be cool to be reincarnated as someone else, right? So you could be reincarnated as a completely different person in a completely different timeline too. So you could be reincarnated as a fucking Civil War soldier, or you could be reincarnated as George Washington, or you could be reincarnated as some future person or whatever. I thought that was cool. I also thought that, what if you die and you get a choice? You can go to heaven, or you can be reincarnated as an animal, right? How cool would it be to be reincarnated as an alligator or a lion or an elephant? Like, it would be cool to be reincarnated as an elephant. We went to go see Wakanda last night, and I'm not really talking about it because I don't want to spoil anything, but there's a scene in there with some elephants, and I remember seeing the elephants and just thinking, like, how cool is that? Like, to be an elephant, like, they walk around with their little pride, their little, their group of elephants, and they're just so peaceful. They're not fucking chasing anyone down. They're not looking to take over any sort of territory. They're not claiming anything like that. Like, I don't know. I think that would be pretty cool. Be reincarnated as a bird, like one of those vultures that can fly at 36,000 feet. I think that shit would be cool. What if you don't get a choice? What if you just die and you get reincarnated as, it's a fucking lottery, it's just whatever is up next. But when I was thinking about reincarnation the other day, I was thinking about being reincarnated into yourself. So you are reincarnated, like, if I died today, right? Highly unlikely. But if I were to die today, I'm just reincarnated back into August 19th, 1982. And I have to start this whole life over with zero memory of any of this life that I just lived. It's almost like being reincarnated into myself in a new dimension. So I thought that was, I don't know. I know it's not an original thought, but I was thinking of it the other day of, like, what if that were the case? But unfortunately, none of us have an answer to that. The only people that have answers to that are the dead, who we can't talk to and find out. But I mean, when you hear about stories of these mediums that can talk to the dead, like, maybe they can talk to the dead because those people that they're talking to are actually from another dimension. So who knows? Did you vote? Unfortunately, I have a couple topics on here that I wanted to hit. One I don't really have. I'm not really sure what the fuck I meant by it, as is the usual case. I'll just be walking along through my day, hear something on a podcast or something, write it into my notes, and then not put enough notes in there about what the fuck I mean by what I put. But I know that I put, did you vote? And did you? I think that voting is insane important. I have voted in every election that I have been in this country for since 2000. Since 2000. I turned 18 in the year 2000, and I started voting right away. I missed 2004 because I was deployed, and I missed 2010 because I was deployed. But every other election, even local elections, if it's election day, I'm going to the poll booth, even if I don't know who the fuck is running. Because I don't know about big cities, but around here you have things that are like, who's running. County attorney maybe matters, maybe. But you see things like, What are some of the ones that I saw? The treasurer. Who are you going to vote for the town treasurer? Like, I don't give a fuck. I really don't. I just don't give a fuck who the treasurer is. As long as they're not putting the money in their own pocket, which is highly unlikely in most cases, I don't give a fuck because they're going to have some oversight. So it's fine. One of my problems with having, certain people elected to office in the first place is that they bring their own bias. So if you have someone like in our state, it's Maggie Hassan, and I don't, I'm not going to put this as eloquently as I want, but I'm going to try. If you have someone like Maggie Hassan, who, she is probably anti-gun. I know that her party is anti-gun, and I'm using guns as just an example because it's just what's on my mind. So you have someone who's, she's anti-gun, and she certainly represents a party that, as in its whole, is anti-gun. So when it comes to voting on anything, 1,000 Republicans could call her and say, I don't want you to pass this new gun law. 1,000 of them could call her. But one person could call her and say, I want you to pass this gun law. Hold on. No. I want you to pass this gun law. And she's going to vote that way because it's probably the one person out of the 1,001 people. It's probably the one person that voted for her, which I think is unfair. It's uncool. I'm sure she cares about being uncool, but it's unfair because you're supposed to represent the people who voted for you. So I don't know. Anyways, but I think that you should vote if, your right to vote. All right. Thousands of minorities, thousands of women, tens of thousands of women and minorities have fought, bled, and died for the right to vote in the first place. Because 100 years ago, 200 years ago, I don't know how long ago it was, because it's 2022 now, so maybe 150 years ago. 150 years ago, minorities and women couldn't vote in the first place. So you should want to exercise that right. It is as important as your right to free speech, as your right to bear arms, as your right to the freedom of religion. It is as important. So when I stand up and say, like, the right to bear arms is really important to me, it's important to me because all of them are important to me. I want my Fifth Amendment right, my right against illegal search and seizure, my right to vote, my right to bear arms, my right to free speech. I have those rights, and I want to exercise them. So I know that I'm 4 or 5 days late now on this, but when it comes to the next time that there's a voting booth in your town, you need to make sure that you get there. I know that it's very easy to look at it and be like, well, I'm just one person, my vote doesn't count. Your vote absolutely counts. And the last two presidential elections, I think, in my personal opinion, have shown that with spades. Okay? I think that in 2016, Trump won because so many Democrats said, there's no way he's going to win. I don't need to use up 30 minutes or an hour of my night to go vote. I don't need to do that because there's no way he's going to win. And so many Republicans were like, I'm going to go vote. I'm going to vote. And they went and he got elected. And I think a very similar thing happened in 2020. I think in 2020, so many Republicans said, there's no way Biden can win. I'm not going to, there's enough other people going to vote that I don't need to go vote. And I think that the last two presidential elections really opened people's eyes as to how important the Electoral College is in the first place. Because people look at it like, my vote doesn't count. Your vote 100% counts because you can go to the voting, you go to vote and your vote rather counts towards that electoral vote. So, that's a big way that Trump won in 2016 was that he, he campaigned in the places that would get the most electoral votes. So, Anyways, go fucking vote. It's your right. It's your right. You have to, if you believe in one right, you should believe in all of them. You shouldn't be like, I believe in the right to free speech, but not the right to bear arms. Fuck you and that belief. Because first of all, and I've talked about it many times, the Second Amendment protects the First Amendment. The reason that we still have free speech in the first place is because we have a right to bear arms, and the government could absolutely not say, we're going to change the freedom of religion, because there are so many people with guns that would say that's not happening. There's more civilians in America than there are the military. The military and law enforcement combined make up about 4 million people. There's 125 million gun owners. Okay. So the government knows that they could never say we're going to institute some sort of martial law or whatever. People are going to die. People are going to die. They couldn't have another civil war that doesn't end with civilians winning. So anyways, those are just some of my thoughts about that. Moving on to my last thing. My last thing of tonight. I don't know if you know this, but I love statistics. I'm a big statistic guy. Me and my mate went to a thing earlier this week that wasn't especially uplifting, but they ran off some statistics, and I love statistics. I don't care if some are made up. I don't care how often they're made up. I like statistics. So I pulled up a little website here with some statistics and wanted to read some. So the average drunk driver, and this one I remember from the police academy, so fucking 15 years ago. So the average drunk driver drives under the influence more than 80 times before being arrested for the first time. Absolutely believe that. 100%. Definitely believe that one. I'm going to read these, and then, if I have something to add, then I will. But fewer than 2% of NCAA student athletes go on to the professional level. Me and my mate have been watching a show called Ballers on HBO, and that show touches on this subject. It is completely unfair that the NCAA rakes in all this money on NCAA games, on college football, college basketball, especially those two. Rakes in all this money on these games, and the students don't get paid. The NCAA looks at it as, you're getting a free education, but these students don't actually get paid, and that is bullshit. Especially when they're raking in so much money on like cable TV and whatever. 1/3 of adults sleep with a comfort object. Like a teddy bear, or, I guess that's the big example. The only one I have off of my head. 1/3 of adults sleep with still sleep with a comfort object. I don't know. I guess I kind of do. If me and my girlfriend go to bed separately, right? Because that happens fairly often, where she's going to bed at, midnight or something like that. But I know that I got to wake up at 4 a.m, so I'm going to bed at 10 p.m. I take, we have these big pillows. We don't actually use them to sleep with. They're just kind of there for show. And I'll take one of those pillows and put it on her side of the bed so that I feel like I'm sleeping next to her. The average American generates nearly 4.5 pounds of trash per day. This one doesn't surprise me. It's kind of a separation thing of, it bothers me because we don't really know where our food comes from, right? We just go to the grocery store, grab a fucking thing of meat, and bring it home. I mean, tonight I'm going to cook hamburgers and hot dogs and some sausage and steaks, and I don't know where that fucking came from. I just went to the grocery store and got it. Same thing happens on the other end, where there's this trash, and we just throw it in the garbage can and we're done. That, as far as we're concerned, it disappears. But then they got to take it to the landfill, and they got to do all this shit with it. So, I think that there's some mystery there. what happens if each American's creating 4.5 pounds of trash, which I don't know. We might be close to that. We're probably close, if not over. Over the past century, Michael has been the most popular baby name for 44 times over the past 100 years, which is surprising because I remember once seeing a John Doe in the newspaper and asked my mother about it, and she was like, John Doe is the name that they use for like a missing person because John is the most common name. But that was back in the 80s. Global rate of washing hands after using the toilet is under 20%. I'll tell you this, I went to Market Basket today, went to the bathroom while I was there, and used the bathroom because of that stat. So, because I read these a few days ago. Americans read for personal interest for 10 minutes or less per day. So if you exclude Facebook as reading, I don't know. I might make that. I might make that based on Google News and Google, searches. I might make that one. I might be above the average on that. More than 36 million adults U.S. adults can't read above a third grade level. That's too bad. Let's see here. Moving on. Average American eats nearly 13 pounds of ice cream per year. I'd certainly like to think I'm under that average. Certainly in the summer, in the months of July and August, I've been known to hit a gas station and get like an ice cream bar, but I definitely don't think it's 13 pounds. And outside of that, I'm barely eating any ice cream. 1 in 7 Americans receive food from a food bank. That one is really too bad. More than half a million people. What's this say? Hold on. More than 500,000 people in America experience homelessness at night. I don't really understand that one. Like, are they not homeless during the day? But homelessness at night, yeah. I remember hearing a long time ago about homelessness, and there's another statistic that probably isn't even in this thing about the statistics of homelessness and people. There are a lot of people that are homeless that choose to be that way. They are saying I remember something a long time ago that said virtually anyone, and this is going back about 20, 24 years ago, said virtually anyone that is homeless could be back on their feet within 3 months if they wanted to. There was a guy in Manchester, New Hampshire 20 years ago, a little more than 20 years ago. They found him dead in an alley, sleeping on top of $10,000. So there's a percentage of those people who choose to be that way. Choose that, I don't want to give my money to an apartment complex. I don't want to give my money to, I don't want to, put my money in a bank. There's all that kind of shit that goes into it, which is a hard one. We collectively receive about 2.4 billion robocalls a month. Why? Why am I getting these calls? I don't want them. Fewer than a quarter of Americans meet the U.S. guidelines for physical activity. Let's see here. 24% of American adults met physical guidelines. Guidelines stipulate that adults should get 150 minutes of moderate intensity aerobic activity a week, coupled with at least 2 days of muscle strengthening activities each week. So I'm above the average on that one. 90% of people who suffer an out-of-hospital cardiac arrest die. That's not good. Don't have a cardiac arrest out of a hospital, I guess. This one hit home. We get an average of 0.5 pieces of personal mail per household per week. So personal mail would be like, if I send a letter to, an old friend, that's personal mail. If you get a bill, that doesn't count towards this statistic. So 0.5 pieces of mail per week. You might be lucky to get a personal letter every 2 weeks, basically. It's the best way to put that. Send more fucking letters, man. The art of letter writing is not dead. It's cool, actually. Don't you fucking love it when you get a fucking letter in the mail? A letter. Like, not a fucking happy birthday or whatever. Like, send a letter. Farmers and ranchers make up less than 2% of America's population. I'm actually surprised it's less than 2%. I thought it would be less than like 0.5%. Because like I just said, we don't know where our food comes from. There's not enough farmers out there running fucking, cow farms or whatever. Nearly half of American adults will experience a mental health illness during their lifetime. That one makes total sense too, maybe because Alzheimer's. Alzheimer's severely affects people, and it almost seems like we are all bound to get it at some point. I just turned 40 a few months ago. I expect absolutely that in the next 30 years, I'll probably experience Alzheimer's in some point, unless things change, and which would be great. I mean, things could change. Nearly a quarter of rural Americans say access to high-speed internet is a major problem in their community. So rural Americans, we're talking, small towns outside of big cities. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't really surprise me. But I also feel like those same people that are rural either A, work in a big city where they can get high-speed internet, or B, they are in that spot because they choose to be, and they don't really need that high-speed internet. Like, they don't need it or want it. I don't really know what to say to that. On an average day, only 19% of American men do housework as compared to 49% of American women. I certainly like to think that I'm in the 81% of American men. I do the dishes almost every day, virtually every day. I do the dishes here in our place. I vacuum every Sunday. We each do our own laundry. We each clean up after ourselves. So I'd like to think that I'm above the average. I'd like to think that I'm in the 81% of American men. Let's see. The average person could fill... you know what? I'm going to skip that one just because it's gross. The United States has collected more than 1,100 gold medals in the history of the Olympic Games. Who gives a fuck? I don't really understand why we still have Olympic Games other than tradition. It's cool when your country wins or whatever, but really, how long are you remembered for? There are more than 6,000 dogs registered to come to work with Amazon employees at the company's Seattle office. 6,000 at the Amazon Seattle office. How many fucking employees do they have at that office? But that is cool. I think that if you have a dog, like, that's a cool thing to do. Like, to let your dog come to work. Like, Rose's friend, my friend, our friend, Kimmy, recently got a job at a place where they allow people to bring their dog to work every day. And I deliver mail to this place, and I've gone in there before and seen all these people with their dogs at work. And I think that is such a cool thing to do, like, to let your dog be with you all day. I mean, because those of you who own dogs, I've owned a couple dogs throughout my life. I haven't owned a dog. I haven't had like a dog as a pet in many years, but I certainly have Graphite, and he's practically like a dog. Everyone loves that feeling of coming home at the end of the day to your dog who has missed you. So, to let your dog come to work with you, like, that's great. And you can do shit. Like, it feels like, like a dog is a responsibility, as is a cat. But, okay then. So pets are a responsibility. They have to have a thing done, whether it's, playing with them or feeding them or brushing them or whatever. They have to have certain things done. So if you can bring your dog to work with you, we'll use dog as the example. If you can bring your dog to work with you, then you can get the brushing done. You can make sure that they're going to the bathroom when they need to. You don't have to have your dog locked up inside all day. I think that's such a cool thing. I hope Google is very similar. I hope Google lets you do that too. America's drivers covered a combined 2.6 trillion miles annually driving. I highly doubt that I'm in there. I highly doubt that I am. I'm contributing to that significantly because I drive. It's like 8 miles for me to get to work and 8 miles to get back, and I really don't do a lot of driving in between. I just I don't know. I like being home. One of my things is that we pay so much to live here, and it's a great place that like why would I don't know. I struggle with that of like there's part of me that wants to travel, but also it's like I wish they could be prorated. That's what I wish. That's what I wish it could be really for a pro like where you live. Like where you live, let's say let's use $1,200. If you pay $1,200 a month for your apartment, we'll use apartments as the example. You're paying $1,200 a month to live here, but you're spending, that $1,200 is based on being here for 24 hours a day, but you're really only spending, maybe 8 to 10 hours a day here because you're at work or you're running errands or whatever the rest of your time. So, I wish it was prorated in a way that's like, oh, you're only spending 15 days in total or something like that. Movie theater attendance is more than double the attendance of all U.S. theme parks and major sports games combined. That one kind of surprises me. It makes me happy. I like it. I like that so many people go to movies. Me and my mate recently became subscribers to Regal Cinema's Unlimited Pass. So we pay $21 a month and we can go to as many movies as we want. We paid $1 to go see Wakanda last night. We are going to see a movie in a couple of weeks called Menu or The Menu, something like that, which is a movie we never would have gone to see in theater. But, the fact that it only cost $1 to go see it, then fuck it, why not, So we're going to be seeing a lot more movies for the rest of our relationship, or at least as long as this Unlimited Pass goes on, which I think it'll go on for quite a while because we enjoy movies, and this thing has been going on for quite a few years. As many 95% millennials are not saving adequately for retirement. I think I'm saving adequately. I know my mate is because it's part of our job is that we have to pay into the retirement system. So on top of paying into the retirement system, I think that we both put away something. Like I have a thrift savings plan. I have a certain amount of my paycheck that's taken out to put into that thrift savings plan. So I think that we are above the average in that. 2 out of 5 Americans can't name a single freedom protected by the First Amendment. I just went over this. I named off a bunch of them. Let's see here. The First Amendment. Let's see if I can name a few. First Amendment is, in fact, let me bring up the 10 freedoms. I think it's 10 freedoms. 10 freedoms in the Bill of Rights. Okay. All right. I'll read this. I'll name the ones I can, and then I'll read this. So, First Amendment, you got freedom of speech, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, and freedom to peaceably or right to peaceably assemble. Second Amendment, right to bear arms. Fourth Amendment, you have the right against illegal search and seizure. Fifth Amendment, you have the right to not testify against yourself. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. No, I don't know the rest of them off the top of my head anyways. So, all right. So I got the first and second one. No quartering of soldiers. That hasn't been a problem in centuries. We could probably do away with that one. Right to due process. I got that one. So I got the fourth and the fifth one. The right to a speedy trial is the sixth one, and right of accused person's public trial. Right of trial by jury, the seventh. Freedom from excessive bail. Okay, so I know these so far. Right, other rights of people. I don't really know what that one is. And powers reserved to the states. All right, so I don't really understand what 9 and 10 are because there's not like a description here. But 6, 7, and 8, I knew. I just didn't know that they were in, the Bill of Rights. So, where are we? Here we go. All right. What time is it? Oh my god, it's 8:00. I gotta go fucking cook food. All right, I'm gonna do a couple more, and then I'm gonna go start cooking food. How long am I going for? A little over an hour. Okay. 5 countries make up 60% of the worldwide military. That doesn't surprise me. And I don't know the 5 countries. I'm certain America is one of them, and China is one of them. And if the UK is a country, or whatever country the UK falls into, I would say that also makes one of them. Fucking Jason Almy. He fucking replied to my little text message, and then he never replied, and then I sent him an immediate message, and he never fucking texted me back. This motherfucker better not ghost me next week when I want to do a cigar bar episode. But that'll be a problem for another day. 28. Less than 10% of the... yeah, this one made me laugh. Less than 10% of the U.S. population tuned in to watch the royal wedding in 2018. Yeah, that's because nobody over here gives a fuck, okay? I do not care about the royal wedding. I don't care, all right? The only thing sad to me about the Queen dying a handful of weeks ago was that a person died. I don't get it. I don't get I don't get the media's obsession with what's going on the other side of the Pacific Ocean. I don't care. I don't get why they care. I don't understand why the media cares. I maybe kind of understand why certain politicians care, like Joe Biden. If you're the leader of one country, then you should care about the death of the leader of another country. But I just don't care. I do not care what is happening why. I don't give a fuck. I don't even think that the media, I was about to say, would Europe or Saudi Arabia or China give a fuck if the daughter of Obama got married? But that doesn't apply because America wouldn't even fucking care. The media in America wouldn't fucking care about that. Okay, nobody would fucking. There'd probably be in this country there might be some sort of news article, but it would be a blip on the radar that nobody gave a fuck about. So I don't understand the media's obsession with the royal fucking family. They don't apply to us. We separated from them for a reason. Drake was streamed more than 8 billion times in 2018 alone. I've listened to a handful of his songs, but nothing that really makes me jump out of my seat. Americans are eating 4.2 billion avocados per year. I don't usually go searching for avocados. I don't really look for them by themselves in any way, shape, or form. I got pizza a few times that had avocado slices on top of it, and I pulled them off. More than 15 million Americans still lack mobile LTE broadband at the median speed. Who cares? That feels like a second thing. Let's see here. All right, last one, and then I'm going to wrap this up. A high school graduate will have taken around 100 mandatory standardized tests since... Whoops. I got something going on. There we go. A high school graduate will have taken around 100 mandatory standardized tests since pre-kindergarten. I don't know about you guys, but I know that when I was in school, I had to take something called the Iowa test. And I never got those results. I don't know what they were for. I don't know why we take them. That seems like more of a test of the school than it is a test of me, which we should probably do away with that kind of thing. These standardized tests, I don't like it. I have a friend who had said, and I don't know if he ever followed through on it or not, but he had said that the way he was going to teach his kid was some sort of new way of thinking. And I liked it the way that he put it anyways, was that he wasn't actually going to send his kid to regular school. Instead, it was a group of parents. It was, and it was like, well, this parent knows a lot about woodworking. This parent knows a lot about English. This parent knows a lot about math. This parent knows a lot about working on cars, and so on and so on and so on. And you would just trade off kids to teach them each thing rather than to send them to school where they would learn in this environment that has this standardized thing. So I don't know. I kind of liked his idea. I think it could use a little bit of tweaking, but I liked it anyways. So, all right, that's going to do it for me. I think I'm done. It's been over an hour. I got to fucking go get cooking. Hopefully my mate will be home soon. Happy Veterans Day. Again, thank you to all that served. Yeah, I'm going to cook and chill out and relax and go back to work from now until next Saturday. Because I agreed to work on this Sunday because I like money. I like money. And it's a lot of money for me to work on Sunday. So I got to make that money with the fucking holidays coming up. So have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you for listening. Have a good night.